time for today's face-off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face-off on Fox Soul starts right now.
I don't even know, bro. You know, this is my first time. I haven't been in the playoffs, man. So, I mean, for me, like I said, man, I just got to do what's best for me and my family, dog. If that's here, or if that's wherever the case may be, man, I'm finna open that door for myself, dog. As I'm opening the door, like I'm out, bro. You know, so it was great playing here, but you know, at the end of the day, bro, I got to do what's best for, you know, for my career and, you know, what's best. Because I'm too much of a competitor to be, you know, just out there.
Mean you thinking about leaving here?
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
All right, Quanell, that was Tyreek Hill, complaining at the culmination of the Dolphins season about the fact that they are not in the playoffs. They had a miserable season. He also had a miserable season that began with him acting poorly in an encounter with law enforcement on his way to a game with a member of the law enforcement community of color. You know, he has not had the stats that he normally has, and the question is, was that Tua getting you know, hurt with so many concussions and not having a quarterback, or has there been a decline in his ability? Tyreek has a long history of off-field issues, legal issues, criminal issues, some of them violence towards women issues, that has closed doors for him that he has always managed to open because he is such a tremendous talent, right? But you sign contracts. Now, the players, they have the Players Association in the NFL that fight for him. He's going to have his agent and a team of lawyers. But he signed a big contract, and contracts have meaning. And the fact that he is openly into a microphone trash talking his own team, I think it will actually hurt his efforts to go somewhere else versus enhance it. I think it was a very bad move, and another example of Tyreek making bad decisions that he doesn't seem to make when he's when he's running on a football field.
Tyreek Hill is one of the most magnificent talents at the wide receiver position that we have ever seen in NFL history.
No, absolutely. He's good.
And
he's not great.
Tyreek Hill is an absolute game changer, and he's been that way from day one entering the NFL. I believe he is frustrated and angry, and he's only saying what a lot of members of that team really want to say. I believe that there's been a tremendous amount of faith put in the coaching staff that have yet to truly prove themselves, and the head coach, McDaniel, that's in Miami, has shown that he cannot win without having everything he needs put in place for him. I believe that Tua, who is an absolute good NFL quarterback, but I believe he should not be playing the game. He has had one too many severe concussions, and I care about the man's safety and security long term after football, and I believe that those who truly love Tua should ask him to step away from the game. Tyreek has to realize, though, he is a captain of the team. And as a captain, you had a losing season, the first time in your career, Tyreek. Well, I once heard a coach say that losing doesn't teach character, but losing reveals character. If you're going to be a captain, Brother Tyreek, now is the time for you to show your leadership skills, because through adversity comes opportunity. That was written by Richard Marcinko, one of the founders of the Navy SEALs. He said, now you're facing Murphy's Law. Well, then show the people and the teammates, the younger men, Tyreek, that you can be a captain by rallying the team together, rallying behind each other. And it does not matter who's lost faith in the Dolphins. As a captain, Tyreek, keep the faith grounded among one another and yourselves. Circle the wagons, pull that team together. Now, if he wants to be traded, I would say, Tyreek, go into a private room and do that. Have those private discussions with Dolphins administration, the general manager, the vice president, maybe even the owner, the head coach. But don't say these things publicly, because not only are you grieving Mr. Hill for not making the playoffs, many of those players who are just as competitive as you, they're grieving also. And so I hope that Jalen Waddle, makes a strong recovery. Young brother from Houston, a great receiver in his own right out of Alabama. But once they get healthy, I believe Tyreek Hill, you will see a much better team. But as a captain, don't lose faith like that publicly, man.
Well, I mean, I agree with you on one narrow thing, that as a captain of a team, you shouldn't air the dirty laundry or your angry feelings to the press and the public. You should do it with your team. But I disagree that on so many other topics. You talk about a captain and you talk about how you're supposed to lead as a crowd. The question is it just talent that makes you a captain? Because he has not shown through his life that he is a leader of men, right?
But you're judging him incorrectly.
Oh, no. You hit a woman.
No.
You beat a woman.
Stop.
You shouldn't be a captain of a
When
team.
you are made
you
to
beat
be
a
when you're
woman.
appointed to
You
be a
shouldn't
captain,
be on a football team at all. Just because you're so talented that we act
chose him
like
to be
he
a
doesn't
captain.
smack around women.
It had nothing to do with his off-the-field issues. So when you tell players,
so
Charles,
that math doesn't work?
When you tell players on a team, pick your captain based on the merits and performance in the locker room and on the field, that's what they're doing.
Well,
they're not taking in off-the-field issues, Charles.
But maybe
it's
they
wrong.
should.
It's
Maybe
wrong
they should.
for this discussion to have nothing to do with off-the-field issues, and you bring that up.
That's nonsense.
But that's what you white folks do.
Do you talk about OJ?
You white folks always bring up an off-the-field issue.
He's a beater of women. I don't care if he's white, black, brown, or anything.
Yes, you do,
He's a scumbag, and he shouldn't be a captain.
A scumbag?
Because he beat women.
A scumbag?
Women.
He has not been found guilty.
He's a
of that.
monster.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
I don't what you say or how you feel. This ain't it, bro.
Yeah, so what ain't right about it? The fact that there are over 300,000 children in the foster care centers, and us fruity people are 7 times more likely than you straight people to adopt these children. Like, imagine if every well-off straight couple in America decided to go to the foster centers and pick up one of those children instead of, I don't know, refusing to do so because they'd rather have a child of their own blood. The thing is, you guys create a problem, you guys create an issue, and get mad at us for fixing said issue or doing the best we can to tackle the issue. The thing about fruity people is they have to work hard in order to have a child. As a result, that child is oftentimes treated like the center of the universe because it wasn't an accident. There's not just parents over here who didn't want the child. They wanted the child so damn bad that they had to do anything it took in order to qualify for the adoption process. And you sit here and criticize it, hating on it like what? You create a problem, we fix the problem, you get mad at us fixing the problem? Off. Anyways.
In this round, here's Quanell X.
Charles, we just watched a young woman on a podcast show, and she was responding to another social media viral platform that went viral, in this case with a young brother, black brother, who saw 2 gay men kissing on black adoptive child that they had adopted. I guess maybe celebrating the adoption or just celebrating as a family. And this brother said, I don't damn what nobody say, this is not it. I understand those brothers, men and women in America, who still hold fast to their religious foundation, biblical, canonical, Judaic principles, that they believe that children should be in a home with a man or a woman. And I support children being in a home with a man or a woman, and I endorse that. But at the same time, the gay woman on the podcast made a valid point, but she was wrong too. She said that, we work very hard to have these children, and you all don't work as hard as we do. Well, to be honest with you, because through the natural process, you don't have to work as hard. But if you're doing something that's not going through the natural process, well, then it's going to take you a whole lot more and extenuating circumstances and hurdles to overcome to do that. But a child, many of them are being raised in loving gay homes. But does that trump that God meant for children to be raised by a mother and a father? I don't think it does. But I've often said this on this show. The most unadopted children in America that go unadopted in foster care are young black boys. So we as black people cannot complain, because in this video, he was complaining about 2 black men, same-sex couple adopting a young black child. Well, we as black people don't want to see that, and we want to see more young black boys adopted to traditional black households that are Christian, Judaic, or Muslim in principles. Well, damn it, get up off your backside and let us start adopting our own children. And if we're not going to do it, we have no right to complain about others who come together and choose to do so.
You criticize her because she made a comment holistically about heterosexual people, but just in the very last segment, you criticized white people generally, because I criticized Tyreek Hill. I mean, there are a lot of people that engage in this kind of holistic denigration that is not fair at all. I think you have to look at every couple individually, right? And it is true that for the most part that gay couples do have to engage in more effort than the average heterosexual couple. But also there are plenty of heterosexual couples that have to go pay a lot of money for IVF or fight to adopt a child. And then there are those, we've heard this criticism in the African American community, outcrying when you see white adoptive parents with a black child, right? This has been a repeated woke criticism of how they're not going to get the black experience. And of course,
and they don't get it. That's a fact. They don't get it. What
we need is children getting a loving parental experience.
That's the first thing we want to happen. A loving environment, no matter what the color is. Yes.
Okay.
But talk to black children.
There's no but. It's just a hard stop.
Talk to black children who have been adopted by white people, and let them tell you of their experiences being a black child in an all-white household that was adopted. And you will hear some of their experiences and their struggles that were very traumatic, not by intention, but by the reality of being a black child in a white family.
There are same-race couples that are adopted child, and that child experiences struggles as well. No one has a universal experience. I know you want to reduce it all to race, but it's not necessarily
Charles,
race.
take a black female child. Take a black female child adopted by a white couple.
Okay, let's talk about.
Have you seen their hair?
Let's talk about.
Have you seen their hair?
Okay, see, that's a.
No, that's a damn truth.
Okay, hold on.
You're
going to make a joke out of it,
that's
and
a
I'm
damn
being
truth.
serious.
Take a black child adopted by white folks. That white woman can't comb her hair. She can't comb that black girl's hair.
You were talking about God wanted it to be a man and a woman. Let's talk about how many black kids are raised without a man and a woman, with one parent. How many white kids are raised without both parents? Obviously, it's a higher number for the African American community, but it's still
the number is getting higher and higher now for white families now.
No one sticks with anything, right? It's awful, right? And then people don't want to co-parent. So if a gay couple that is financially stable and loving want to do it, but let's read the response that we had on the clip. This Mike Doran 6753. His response to the gay couple: they just arrested 2 gay men that were molesting their adopted children. I think it may be happening more than it appears. I don't know. Do we have a clip of that, Matt? Do we have a clip of the sentencing of the Zulaks, which are 2 men that got 100 years?
First, now live at 5, 2 Georgia men will spend the rest of their lives in prison after being convicted of adopting 2 young boys, then sexually abusing them. The 2 men from Walton County were just sentenced to 100 years without parole. The district attorney's office spoke on the horrific nature of the crimes.
That's good.
Writing, quote, those involved.
Okay, 100 years, we don't even need to listen to what they did. They basically adopted kids so they could pimp them out on the internet and rape them. But it is unfair.
2 black kids.
But it is unfair what so many conservatives are doing right now. They're trying to extrapolate that to all gay adoptions, to ban adoption. Let me tell you, someone that worked was a police officer and investigated these kind of crimes as a criminal defense attorney. I used to be one of those too. Saw those kind of crimes, and it is, they are heterosexual monsters, there are homosexual monsters, and your orientation doesn't determine whether someone's going to be a pedophile.
But I will say this.
So if you take that, Matthew, say nobody could adopt it. It's an unfair, false equivalency.
There is more child molestation taking place in heterosexual, quote-unquote, households than gay ones.
Well, there's more heterosexual households.
And this is true, but at the same time, I believe it's wrong to take this one particular case of these wicked demons who sex trafficked these children. They adopted beautiful black children, and then compare it to all gay adoptions. That's evil and that's wrong.
Well, you do that to white people every day.
No, that's wrong,
You've
Charles.
already done it to white people today.
I do it to your ignorance.
Okay.
And I assault that, and I attack that.
Okay.
But Charles, I believe it's important that we understand something. You have well-meaning, intended white people who adopt black children and love them dearly. But brother, speak to some of those black children who've been adopted in households like that. They grow up having literally a zero cultural identity to their own people, and it's like a culture shock to them when they go off to college and they start living and having experiences with other black people. It's like they're fish out of water. I've seen some black girls, young black girls, and young black boys in adoptive white families. Man, you ought to see their hairdo. Oh my God. Look like Fred Sanford on steroids, and somebody hit him with a Gumby stick.
I would like to say,
it's rough, brother.
I would like to say,
I understand
I applaud
how black
everyone who is going to go take an abandoned child into their home and raise them like their own and spend an unbelievable amount of money raising that child.
I agree.
Of course, there are nefarious people that go into the foster system just to
Of
make
any
money.
sexuality.
There are people that want to abuse people of any race, too, any ethnicity. Right? But the truth is, we got to hold up all parents, gay, straight, white, black, whoever wants to adopt a kid and love them.
A mother in Osceola County is recovering after detectives say she was stabbed 14 times over a $2 pizza delivery tip. They add when the mom went to the hospital for the injuries, she found out she was a few weeks pregnant. According to an arrest affidavit, 22-year-old Brianna Alvello delivered pizza at the Rivera Motel in Kissimmee. That is where the mom, her 5-year-old daughter, and the mom's boyfriend were staying to celebrate a birthday. The cost for pizza was about $33. Investigators claimed the mom handed Alvello a $50 bill, asked for change, but was denied. The mom allegedly tried looking for smaller bills and ended up giving Alvello a $2 tip. The affidavit says about 30 minutes later, Alvello returned to the motel room with a man who had a gun, and that the two of them were wearing masks and all black. It says there was banging on.
I will tell you, Quanell, this entitled tipping culture is getting out of hand. Well, some details that they didn't get into. The woman who ordered the pizza had a $50 bill, right? And asked the pizza delivery woman if she had change. I delivered pizza my freshman year in college. I've always had a job, always had to work. We carried change back then. This was 1990. It was a long time ago. And it was very commonplace. You got stiffed. I'd say about back then, maybe 70% of the people didn't tip you, right? It was a way of life. Now it's just something, but the woman probably was going to tip more, but you don't pay a 50% tip. Right, the woman didn't have change, so she scrounged up enough bills, probably got $35.10 together, and it wasn't a big enough tip for this monster apparently. But I mean, the whole story's horrible. Hopefully her and the guy that showed up with a gun and stabbed and attacked this poor pregnant woman, they're in Florida. You get years for violent crime in Florida. Hopefully she gets a long years for that. Hopefully she gets 10, 20, 15, a whole bunch of time. But goodness, Quanell, I was at a grocery store in Austin where I went and got my own groceries and I paid, right? And there was a 15, 18, 20% tip option for my groceries, right? There's a drive-through, that Lane's Fried Chicken. It's a drive-through, and I go to Taco Bell, I don't eat right. I always slip on a couple of dollars because they'll throw some extra fire sauce. I appreciate their working, right? But the Lane's Fried Chicken, they ask you when you pay with a credit card on the window to pay like 18, 20%. It's insane. People think they're entitled to your money, right? And apparently so much so that this monster then went, and I'm a big tipper at restaurants and stuff, but it's not entitled. It's just gone out of control. I hope this woman spends 20, 30 years in prison.
Charles, let me say this to you. This is a very strange story that almost seems unbelievable. So this woman goes to a motel room, a cheap-looking motel from what I saw on this
Man,
video.
you're always blaming victims.
Let's be straight now. And she shows up with pizza for $33. Gets a 50, woman don't have change, so this best I can do, I'll give you $2. I've had the same experience. I don't have no, she can't give me change, so let me give you what I can.
Right.
And I've also delivered food as a delivery driver. For almost over 2 years as a Chinese food delivery driver, over 2 years.
We have so much in common, Quanell.
This was back in
same age, same crappy jobs.
This was back in 1997, 99. But the crazy part about it, Charles, is she left and went and got somebody and came back with ski mask
Got her man.
What did the hell did she think she was going to get at a seedy motel like that?
That $50 bill.
And all the woman showed her was a 50.
Right.
Was it that serious to show back up with a man and y'all wearing ski masks and y'all finna rob this lady and then you stabbed the woman 14 times? This just seems like absolute madness. You can't make this foolishness up.
Right.
But to stab her 14 times, and that's a nice looking young woman. Now she's thrown her whole life away. Whole life away.
I think she's got that stupid face.
Over a silly $2 tip. Let me say this, Charles. Some people do want tips and think that you owe them a tip for almost everything and anything.
It's crazy.
You can go to businesses now, stop by a gas station, they got a tip jar at the gas station. You stop by and get a fast food place, they got a tip jar right there at the drive-through. You can leave your tip. They so cold-blooded now. They ask you, do you want your change? You'll pay for something at the grocery store, and they ask you, do you want your change? Pay for something at the donut shop. Pay for something at the fast food place. $1 and some change, $2, $3 worth of change. Do you want your change? Hell yeah, I want my change. Let me determine how much I want to give you.
I mean, it's
you don't know
crazy.
what my financial status is.
Right.
So the fact that I'm giving you something, you should be grateful. But I will say this. A lot of people don't understand this. In the African American community, there's never been a great teaching to our community on the etiquette of proper tipping. So many of us don't tip, not because we mean to be offensive or we want to take advantage of something like that. We have never been taught a real educational
I don't think you
mindset
can say that
about
holistically.
what's the proper etiquette of tipping. Charles,
think
I didn't know anything about that until I was in my 30s.
The best
about
tip,
the proper etiquette of tipping.
The best tipper I know, zero. Shout out to you. That's the best tipper I've ever seen in my life, and he is the
You cannot
blackest man I've
compare
ever
you
met.
and him at the strip club to
I'm
that
not
being a
talking about
proper
a strip
tipping.
club.
You
I'm
can't
talking about
compare y'all at the
Houston's
titty bar.
restaurant. I'm
Y'all at
talking.
the titty
I am
bar,
talking about
getting the big
restaurants.
tip.
That man
You
is
cannot play
black
like
and the best tipper on the
You
planet.
cannot compare the buffet at the titty bar talking about getting some food.
Man, me
you
and Zero,
cannot
me
compare
and
that
Zero only
buffet.
been on.
That's it for the Face Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.